Hello photographers, I'm going to show you how to use the D3400 to record video and the best settings for doing so. Now the first thing you need to know is just how to record video, and if you're a casual video shooter, this is all you'll need to worry about. To shoot video, on the back of the camera you first want to hit the LV button for live view, which will put the camera in live view mode. And then to record, just hit the top record button on the camera and it'll start taking video for you. And that's all you need to worry about. Everything else, the camera will take care of for you. It doesn't matter what mode you're in on the dial, just hit live view, hit record, and you're good to go. And if you want to take more control and get the best quality video possible out of the camera, then we need to go into the menu and look at the movie settings. So you hit the menu button on the back, and regardless of what menu you're in, you want to get to the camera menu. And in the camera menu, the shortcut for the movie settings is actually just to push the directional pad up because it is on the last page of the camera settings. So here we are, and we're going to go in, and the first thing we need to do is set the frame size and the frame rate. Now, by default, the camera is set to record in 1080p, which is high definition, at 60 frames per second, which means it takes 60 individual pictures in every second. Most people don't need to use this. The case where you would use 60 frame per second video is if you wanted to slow it down but still have it look good. So if you want to record slow-mo footage, go into the menu system and choose 1080p 60. For all of your regular footage, you're going to want to choose either 1080p 24 or 1080p 30. The main difference is 24 frames per second will give you that cinematic or filmic look because that is the frame rate that the film industry uses. 30 frames per second is an industry-wide standard as well. So you can use either one. I myself use 30 frames per second. You'll also see that you have the option to choose 720p. I don't really recommend using those settings. That is a smaller video image, and most everything nowadays is recorded in at least 1080p. So though these options are here, I don't really recommend using them. Now the next option is the movie quality, and this is very similar to the quality of a JPEG image if you're capturing your images with this quality in JPEG. And by default, it is set to normal, which means there's going to be some compression applied to your video in order to make the file smaller. But 128 or 64 gigabyte video cards are not very expensive anymore. So in my opinion, it is much better to get a larger video card and set your quality to high quality. You always want the best quality possible. You can always make that file smaller later if you want to, but it is much, much harder to take something that is of lesser quality and make it better quality later on. And then the next ones are settings that you will need to make a decision about yourself. See, we have the microphone setting, and by default, the camera is set to auto mic sensitivity, which means that the camera is going to try to adjust the volume level of the microphone to make sure that the audio sounds good. But if you look on the bottom of this screen here, you can see that we have this meter that's bouncing up into the yellow and even into the red. And that's picking up my voice in the microphone right here on top of the camera. And if it's getting into the red like that, that's no good. That means the volume is peaking and the sound is too loud and it's going to be distorted. Again, if you're a casual video shooter, you can probably just leave this on auto. But if you want to take your video and your sound more seriously, then you need to come in here and you need to set your mic sensitivity for the audio conditions you're shooting in. And an important thing about the mic sensitivity is knowing where to put it. Ideally, you want that bar to be bouncing right around that 12 point. So let's say I was going to record a video of myself using the D3400. The first thing I would do is put the camera wherever it was going to be for me to record, and then put myself where I was going to be, and then go into the manual sensitivity on the camera and change it. Now, this is something that's easier to do if you have two people, but you can do it yourself too. So knowing that it's too high, I'm going to go into the manual sensitivity, and it's set at 20. So I'm going to dial it down. And because I can see this, because I'm using this to record the screen, it's easier for me to see. I'm going to dial it down until it starts bouncing around that minus 12 point there. This is pretty good. A sensitivity of 12 or 11 would probably work for my audio. And knowing now that it's in a good spot, I would just hit OK to accept that. And now I know when I record a video of myself with the camera in this position, my audio is not going to be too loud. The other thing to know about your microphone sensitivity is it stays where you set it, which means if you change the recording conditions and the audio conditions are different, then you're going to want to reset the microphone sensitivity for the new recording situation every time you change it. Finally, we have wind noise reduction for sound. This you definitely want to turn on if you are outside or in some sort of windy conditions. Otherwise, you can turn it off. And just like the mic sensitivity, you'll need to check this and change it depending upon the conditions you're in. And then we have manual movie settings. This allows you to turn on manual mode for video. And if you do that, you can then put the camera in manual mode on the dial and set the ISO, aperture, and shutter speed settings for the video you are recording. If you have this off, no matter what mode you're in on the camera dial, when you go into movie mode, the camera will automatically set the ISO, aperture, and shutter speed for you. Now, if you're not super comfortable shooting photos in manual mode, then I don't recommend you shoot video in manual mode. But these are the recommended settings for recording video. And then, like I said, just hit that live view button whenever you're ready and hit the record button on top of the camera, and you'll be good to go to shoot video with the Nikon D3400. Now, in the next video in this playlist, I'm going to show you how to customize the customizable buttons on the D3400 to do things like use back button focus or change the function button here if you want to. So make sure you check out that next video. And if you have any questions about the D3400, check the playlist, and if I haven't answered them already, let me know down in the comments.